Yo, what up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in today. It is time for your global warning. Time to warn you about what's happening in the world. I'm just kidding. So, thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you're out there listening on, any of those listening platforms, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc., Spotify. I got Jay Rai with us today and a special guest, Nick, Italian Nick, Dateless Nick, is back in the house to tell us his stories. We're going to be talking about a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we're going to hopefully make you laugh. Stick around. Global Warning Podcast. Let's go.
All the ugly people be quiet.
However, if not everyone is going to buy into it, which I by no means think that everyone will, because the world, everyone has to do other measures in order to keep everyone safe, using face coverings, washing their hands, limiting group outings, limiting, exposure times and going outside, not making unnecessary travel. I guess I'm a little bit hypocritical there. But it has to be both, really. I don't think having an app can necessarily, even though having an app is really chic and new, and it's like nice to have an app that can trace all the virus. I think unless you have 100% compulsory buy-in, it's not going to be as effective in spreading a global virus that we are experiencing.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get total buy-in for the app. I know a lot of people that don't agree with just the tracking me concepts and the fact that if they try to make it mandatory. I mean, we were talking about vaccines on a different podcast. So what are your thoughts on like a mandatory vaccine? Let's say this vaccine that come out, it's been tested on enough people where they feel that they can distribute it on a wide scale. Mm-hmm. Are you taking the vaccine voluntarily? One, and secondarily, if they make it mandatory, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
I'm up for both.
Yeah, and I think it is in everybody's best interest to have it done. But then I guess there's the argument of personal will, etc. But I think, just take it for the team. Take it for the team.
I suppose there's this kind of dystopian sci-fi motion picture novel version of this where it feels like we're living in a brave new world and that we're all being mind controlled. But that feels like, not to borrow from a little bit more of American politics or whatever, QAnon theory shit, I feel like this is, as Jenny's point is, this is in the best of the public interest, and everyone just kind of has to get on board with it. I feel like the conspiracy theories and the loss of civil liberty is kind of not necessarily as important as eradicating this virus. To be honest. I think there's certainly something to be said for, civil rights and being able to choose what you want to do. But I think this is one of the scenarios where if you want to participate in the society, you have to be able to get on board with a vaccine. In fact, when I was in, does that not sit well with you?
No, not at all. But I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I was in Italy, and there was an anti-vaxxer rally in Florence, and I don't speak Italian, and so which is terrible. I saw this rally, and I asked our waiter, "Oh, what is that for?" And he said, "Oh, they're anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers." So I had a little bit of wine. And after dinner, I just ran in the middle and was like, "You guys suck! You guys suck!" because
Nick's the
I
kind
mean,
of guy
those-
that'll get your ass
those-
kicked if you go out with him.
yeah, I know.
You're
And
like,
I am not a
"Fuck."
large man. I am a very small, very scaredy, weak man.
Can you run
So-
fast?
No, I can run for like 2 blocks, and then I need to take like a 10-minute breather. Yeah. So some woman started yelling at me, and I just like gave her the birds. And got the taxi. I was with my parents, my elderly parents, by the way, who's not really good. But I just think maybe I'm a little bit jaded from the anti-vaxxer movement in America, but I feel like nah, man.
So do you
Get
get
on
a flu
board.
shot then?
I get a flu shot every year.
I don't actually. but
Jesus
I don't.
Christ.
I don't really ever got the flu though. Like, I can't even remember the last time I had it. So I don't. My normal inclination is not to have vaccines, but I think in this case, it's pretty unprecedented, and unfortunately, I think that's the way it's going to be heading, and your freedom of movement is going to be incredibly restricted unless you have this. I mean, it is getting into scary territory, but yeah, I think we're just going to have to go with it. It's too big to fight.
That breaks my heart to hear that you have given up.
Well, I never was like, but I thought it's safe and it has proven results. Yeah, I'm like, sure, why not?
Who are you getting information from that you would say is trustworthy to let you know that it's safe?
Well, I don't know yet. They're still working on it. Right?
Wait a minute,
So
hold on a fucking minute. Stop. Don't even continue from there. So you've already said that you would take it.
Yeah.
You've already come to the conclusion that you would accept this vaccine in your body, but you don't even know the people that are giving it to you as being reliable or honest, because obviously it's going to be coming from some sort of government source, unless it's coming from Bill Gates, which he's not a doctor, and he's definitely not anybody that I've said, can we elect this guy to go and champion this cause? He's taken it upon. He's a private citizen. He's a private citizen, right? That has decided, and the same private citizen that a few years ago has said, there's too many fucking people on this planet. Paraphrasing. We need to get rid of some of them.
There are.
I
I'm
agree.
not saying we should kill them.
Well,
but
that's I can't say certain things on the show mindset from certain groups that I'm not affiliated with, but I am aware of, that want to have take place. And these guys have money, they've got means, and they've got the ability to get this done. So Bill Gates is already being sued by the country of India for like vaccine injury. That's not in the news anywhere. He's being sued by a country, right? So and he's also been a part of the movement to vaccinate women in Africa, which has somehow remarkably turned into them becoming sterilized. And this is the guy that you want to get a fucking vaccine from. So this was going to go on Facebook, but they're definitely going to take this down now. It's going to be gone. So that's why I'm asking, who do you trust to say, I've made this, we've tested it? Because I was watching an interview on Valuetainment with Patrick Bet-David, and he had Alan Dershowitz, and he had Bobby Kennedy Jr., I believe, on the show. And they were talking about vaccines, and Dershowitz, I believe, no, maybe it was Kennedy, was saying that they were testing these vaccines, and the test subjects that they test these vaccines on are like the 1% of our society. They're the people that are in peak condition. They don't have any pre-existings. They're young. These are not the people that are the ones that are most vulnerable. So I can't say that, why are we testing these vaccines on these people that are less likely to be in harm's way, that are going to be less susceptible to the issue? And we already know or should know that big pharma doesn't give a shit about people. They're only interested in making profit. And there's something I saw on the news that's popped up again for some reason about these hemophiliacs that were here in Europe and in other countries in this part of the world, where the Bayer pharmaceutical company had all this medication in the US that was killing people. It was giving them AIDS, right? So they said, we can't lose out on hundreds of millions of dollars or however much it was. Our investors are going to flee. So what did they do? They buried the story in the media in the United States. They took all that medication and they brought it over here. And they started giving it to people over here, and they were killing people. And nobody was talking about it until recently. And, you know,
What was the vaccine for?
It was a medication for hemophiliacs, and
okay.
yeah, and it was giving people it had AIDS inside it. It was giving people it was either AIDS or HIV, one of the two. Regardless, it was killing people, and they were doing it at the risk of losing potentially billions, hundreds of millions, enough money where they were like, you know, we could redistribute this, and they don't know about this over in Europe. So that's why I'm extraordinarily hesitant to go the vaccination route, because I know I don't trust politicians. I mean, they'll lie right to your face. Like my mom was telling me she was watching one of the presidential speeches or something on the news, the debates or whatever it was, and they have this thing called, I forget what it's called, but it's some sort of fact checker. And every time, you know, President Trump would say something that wasn't accurate, the shit would pop up on the screen. And she's like, the shit just kept popping up on the screen.
Yeah, it's just constantly there.
Right. It's like, what are you fucking saying? And then he was on another show and he was like, well, I've said this, this, and this. And then they would play the clip what he actually said. So we can't trust politicians. We know that they're in bed with all of these special interest groups. They're mostly corporate guys anyway, and they're just, you know, we can't trust that. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant to say, yeah, vaccinate me. I get the greater benefit to it, you know,
Sure.
And we've already said on a different pod, I already knew that this is where this was going to go. Like 4 or 5 months ago, you can't come into my gym unless you're vaccinated, because you're going to be, you know, keeping or risking other people that are members. Can't come and work into this office unless you've had your vaccination. You can't get a driver's license. Can't travel into this country, you know, blah, 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 blah. Right. So I understand the importance of it and how, you know, what the ramifications of not doing it might be, but I'm definitely worried about it.
Fair enough. What is your proposed solution?
I don't have a proposed solution. I don't have one. Honestly, I don't. And I don't have a proposed solution. There's nothing that you can do, really. I think, and I was hearing when we were talking about this Christmas, you have to stay away for Christmas thing, and everyone's like, I don't know if I can handle this. And it's like, because this isn't what we're used to. We're humans. Like, life doesn't go in one certain direction all the time the way we expect it to be. Just like today, I expect my car to work, but I do expect things to go wrong with it, right? But I don't expect it to be thousands of pounds to get my car fixed. You know, I'm a human being. I'm a fragile, soft, carbon-based, you know, little thing that probably tastes really good with barbecue sauce to like certain animals, right? So we're not perfect beings. This roof could fall down and I'd be squashed, and this would be the end of the podcast and the end of me forever. But we seem to think that's all, folks. We can only do this show once. So, you know, you never know what's going to happen. So we have to just navigate this world as best we can, in my opinion. I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't even thought about a solution. I just know that we've been living with flu. It kills people. We had a doctor on a different podcast Monday or Tuesday, and there's this expected amount of people that are going to die every year anyway from, you know, not the normal, you know, flu and so on. They have these deaths that they expect to occur anyway. And these numbers are in pretty close alignment with the number of people that are dying from coronavirus. So these numbers are expected and we just have to somehow navigate it, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not taking a vaccine though, so I'll just have to work outside the system somehow and figure
All right.
it
Well,
out.
let me know if you're ever going to come around, Vaughn. Then once we get a vaccine. 'Cause,
Hey, I'll be happy to wear. I'll be happy to wear the the bandit mask. That doesn't bother me because we've been seeing that for years and years, where we see people from
Chinese?
Asia and Japan, and they come over into the country and they've got the masks on the plane, and they're trying to protect us. And it's always me thinking, because you have to rethink shit, and it's me always having thought, oh, they don't want to breathe in our air, or they're right.
That's what it
When
looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, it's like they probably have a cold and they're trying to keep you from getting it. So I don't know.
I think that's a good thing. We should have kind of introduced that some time ago, made it more part of like mainstream culture, because it is the worst when you're on the tube and somebody is just like sneezing, snotting away.
I have a feeling masks, at least for a certain subsect of people, including myself, will likely be here for a while.
Yeah.
That's right.
It doesn't bother me at all. Like I'm sure I know it bothers a ton of people
Yeah, I think
to
that
wear a mask, but it doesn't bother me at all.
on transport, like for a long time, it gets a little bit heated and things. But then, Vaughan, back to what you were saying about the vaccines. So it made me think: what will our system of proof be for saying that we've had a vaccine? And then for me, my leap here was about microchips.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, just like I voted.
Yeah, we went in on this on the pod back in April or May, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what we're looking at. RF chips embedded inside your body. You're going to have to scan yourself in and out of places to verify, and then there's going to be that black market for the the dodgy chips that says that you've had it if you don't want to get it.
Oh, now we're going super sci-fi here.
Hey, that is your reality, sir. I mean, I know you've been in Italy for a minute, and shit's old and slow
It
over
is a
there.
little reductive back there. It is still 1920 or something back there.
Yeah, so
But where was it? We mentioned in Sweden. Was it in Sweden? They got quite a emerging microchip culture. We went in on it, like I think, as you said, back in April, and they had like these microchip parties and everything. And
What?
yeah, like honestly, like because like the parents they'll sign up for it, and then they get the kids involved, and yeah, I was really surprised. And then we're talking about like working in certain offices, like for the Apple office in Ireland. So I think they was introducing microchips, wasn't they?
I wouldn't be surprised. I know
employees. So.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we've been reading in the news about RFID implants for years. I mean, I'm just pulled up the name, and I'm looking at articles for years and years and years. RFID implants. Captain Cyborg and the RFID implant. And I know when I worked at Apple, my ID wouldn't even let me into certain floors. I worked in corporate, so my ID was only good for these number of floors. So if I wanted to get into where like some of the engineers or some of the shit was kicking off, like the goodies, I had to have somebody let me in. And if I didn't clear security, you're not getting in there. So I definitely see that as an easier way to navigate stuff. And I don't really have a problem with that to some extent, because I mean, if we think about it, all my medical history is on my chip. Bam. My driver's license, my credit cards are on my chip. Bam. But at the same time, we have things like in China where they have these social credit scores, where I'm hanging out with Jenny and Nick, and it's like, these two motherfuckers right here, you can't be friends with those guys. Your social credit score has gone down. So it's like,
so I haven't heard of that in China.
Oh,
social credit.
I think it also factors in like your actual credit score too, right? Like
Yes.
if you're actually going to go pay for something,
you're not getting it.
Oh, like this immediately. They're like, oh, sorry, you've been rejected. Just like,
Yes.
it's just like this identifiable number that factors in your income, your debt, and whatnot.
Everything.
Break this down to me a bit more. What do you mean? Like the social.
It means like if we're Facebook friends and I'm a child molester, for example, a real bad example.
Just for example.
Yeah, just for example. Shut up, you've got a rash. They're gonna take that into account. They're gonna say, oh, well, you're friends with, blah de blah, and blah de blah has been arrested for this, and his sister has done this. So you've got some issues if you're in alignment with that person or that group, and we don't want to take that risk. We don't want to risk that association. Or you've been banned from Facebook or Twitter because of your radical belief systems. We can't take on that risk. So your social credit score goes down because you're affiliated with shitty people, according to them. So it's a slippery slope because it's kind of like these Facebook, these pages, these channels, these websites or whatever. They get to dictate what gets put on their websites. And I agree with that to an extent because it's their website. And they can put on there whatever they want to put on there. And if they want to call their community guidelines, say that, this isn't acceptable, fine. It's your website. You can call the shots, but it has to be fair. And when they leave stuff that Trump is saying up there, or maybe some other racist, or I saw someone that had they're putting these pictures up of slavery and people being lynched. And they're like, this violates our community guidelines. But then they show somebody getting shot, or something more extreme by the cops, and they're like, well, this is acceptable. So I don't understand where they draw the line. But so with the chips, fine. I mean, I get it. It can be a benefit. I think it can also be a bad thing, because if you piss off the government, for example, because they're going to be in charge of your chips, or you didn't pay a speeding ticket, or your MOT is expired, your car gets shut off or something like that, So there's a lot of control we give away by just doing something so seemingly small, in my opinion. So I think we need to be very careful with what we, I don't want to say wish for, but accept.
Becomes a bit of a slippery slope.
So you're okay with the chip, but not with the NHS app?
No, I'm not really okay with the chip, but I can see where its benefits might come in.
Versus the NHS app seems kind of ridiculous,
well,
because not everyone's going to use it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the app is not the problem that I see, or one of the problems that I see with the app. I really wasn't planning on talking about this crap the whole show, but here we go. I was trying to have some fun with you guys because you guys are funny. The problem I see with this app is, one, like you said, if they don't check in, then you don't know that they've got it. I could have it and it'd be stood right next to you. You wouldn't know, because I mean, there are people that have sexually transmitted diseases like herpes and worse that are still having I didn't want to mention names, but as long as you're pointing the finger, that's why I have to have the seats steam cleaned after she would leave the studio. Anyway, but they won't even tell people that they've got these diseases, and they're spreading, HIV or worse. And so if you think they're going to
spread more than that,
right? Do you think they're going to put this app on their phone and they're going to? They're not going to do it. So, and not only that, like, I don't know the exact percentage because I don't remember, but something like 30 or 40% of the positive tests are false positives. So, okay, I've got this positive test. Now I got to lock down or whatever, or put it into the app. And then I'm falsely, giving off a signal to all these people. Yeah, so you've come into contact with me because you were stood next to me when you get home and you turn on your app and your Wi-Fi kicks back on because you can't get it on the underground. And it says you were stood next to person 624JL47. And that person has the coronavirus, right? And you were infected. So now you have to stay home. Now you can't go to work. You can't, you can't travel. You can't do anything because of my false positive. So better
safe than sorry. Devil's advocate, but better. I understand that, but better safe than sorry, I suppose.
I don't.
You know what's worse? You know what's worse? Dying.
I don't know though. Is it though? I don't have a problem with.
At this point, I'm willing to say maybe not.
Who knows?
But,
I mean, we cling to life so much, and it's like we don't even know.
Dude, death grip. I've got a death grip on life. Yeah, no,
I'm okay with the face mask. Wear mask. I'm surprised more people aren't getting robbed on the street, to be perfectly honest with you, because once I pull my mask on, and if I've got a hat on, and then really you need to have glasses on anyway, because the virus it gets in your eyes, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So you can be completely covered basically and just be out there wilding out like it's crazy. I heard they canceled Halloween in California. I heard about it yesterday. I'm definitely sad about that. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. I've got a box full of masks, and I'm not going to be able to do anything fun, but they're not allowing trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean,
yeah, super spreaders coming from door to door, rubbing hands.
Yeah, like home delivery of corona.
And
just like pop in your face.
Yeah. Get some old man on his porch with a shotgun and you come into my house.
Yeah, people
I don't know that much about California. No.
So I don't know what's gonna happen from here. We'll see what happens. We just have to stick it out. And you were talking about politics earlier. I was reading that Meghan Markle is considering or says that she would consider running for president of the United States. She would seriously consider.
I know forever people have been complaining about politicians and lifelong politicians and everything. But I'm kind of done with celebrities as politicians. Like we've had a couple now. We've got Reagan and Trump, and that's like we're done. Like I'm good. We don't need Oprah. We don't need what else has been floated? Like we don't need Michelle Obama. Like Kanye. Like we're good.
You're gonna.
We've had two. We're good.
You're gonna get it.
Yeah, she was a great attorney, fantastic attorney, and an amazing first lady. But does she really have public policy experience? I don't know.
I just feel like Trump has just opened the floodgates. That's
Hillary Clinton didn't have any. Hillary Clinton didn't have any public policy experience either.
Yes.
And then she ended up in Congress because of who her husband was, and then she ended up running for president. She ended up in the White House.
Your way up, though. I mean, I feel like there's a big jump from being never working in public office to being fucking president.
That's what Barack Obama did. The same shit.
He was a senator.
From what? He was nobody before that.
Illinois.
He was not in the public eye. I moved to California in 2003. I remember sitting in the gym where I worked at, and one of my colleagues is like, this guy's a great speaker. You should watch what he's saying. And I'm like, who the hell is that guy? And he's like, he's some new senator from wherever he was a senator. And the next thing you know, he's running for president, right? Right, yeah. Illinois. So he was not in politics. And if we go to, God, I don't have the guy's name. He's related to all of the other presidents. All of the presidents were basically related. So Barack Obama was already in line to be put into that position. They all have this lineage that is all tied together. And he was there. I have, there's a book. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but he is related to all of those guys. Are all related. Everybody that's ever been in office, with the exception, I think, of 2 or 3 presidents out of 45. So he came out of nowhere. He was in the Senate, and that's why everybody was like, he shouldn't be president because he's got no experience. And then bam, he won.
Community organizer. Yeah.
Bam, he won. And he was a flat out liar too. He was like, I don't know, God, what's that guy's name? Bill Ayers. I remember this so much.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, I don't know Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers was a fucking terrorist, tried to blow up government buildings, and he launched his presidency in his father's house. So he knew the guy, but they put him in office because he was going to get put in office anyway. So I wouldn't.
We are hemorrhaging listeners right now. all our British listeners are like, what? I don't know. I don't know these people. Like, I know the name Barack Obama, but what the fuck is Illinois? What?
I know. They're like, what?
That's where Chicago is. Chicago. Yeah. Okay.
So Meghan Markle running for president, bruh, I wouldn't put it past. I mean, wouldn't you want Harry as the first man? I mean,
oh my God, that would be such a weird situation.
Why not? If you think about it, it's a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
Meghan Markle, I don't know what kind of following she's got online, but millions, I'm sure. So if she ran, people would come out and they would vote, I think. And they would say, who else are we going to vote for? This guy, the Republican from wherever? They don't want that.
I mean, who's the next who's the next biggest Republican after Trump as far as pop culture is concerned?
Pop culture. Wow. That's a good question.
Or just culture. Just culture. I mean, who's the next biggest?
Chuck Norris.
Chuck, well, yeah. I think it would have to be a Fox News person. I feel like it'd have to be, again, we're hemorrhaging listeners right now.
As soon as you said Fox News, they were like, what? They like Fox? Click.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, a lot of America likes Fox. Anyway.
I enjoyed watching Fox News. I'll tell you that. I will admit to that. I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you why I enjoyed it. Because if you don't understand or at least experience what your opposition or what the other people are talking about, then you miss out on a lot of the nuance, and you don't really understand where they're coming from. And the problem that I see with that is that people will say that and I'm not lumping you into this, is that they'll say that they don't like something that they've never even experienced before. And we get fed, little bits, but we're getting fed little bits of the shit from the people that are on our team. So they're going to show us what we want. It's just like watching a documentary. They're going to control the narrative so that it suits the storyline that they want to tell you. And that goes on either side. That goes on either side. But everything is very far right or far left now, and there is no middle ground, which I think is the main problem with societies all over the world. You either love gay people or you hate them. You love black people or you hate them. You love Apple or you hate it. You're a Republican or you hate them. There is no middle ground.
What is, Jenny, what's the equivalent of something like that here in the UK? Fox News, super right-wing propaganda channel?
I don't think they have one.
Yeah, I don't think we're that kind of out of whack, But I think what you said, Vaughan, when you said it in terms of enjoying Fox News, it's because you're watching it and you're questioning it. But I guess with many of the Americans who are watching it, they're just like, they're not, questioning the content. That's the problem. Yeah, exactly. So that's where the danger is.
I know a few people that have, lost their parents or grandparents to Fox News. Yeah, it is really the propaganda network. It's really sad.
It's I mean, everything we do now, it seems like it's just this big echo chamber anyway. So where we're online, I mean, I popped on Facebook the other day just to post a show. I know, to post a podcast, it's the only reason I go on there. And this guy, and I don't even know why. I mean, I haven't engaged with anybody on Facebook in well over a year. I just don't use it anymore because I couldn't care less. And this guy says, this is a black guy, and he's a comedian. This is probably the only reason why I said something to him, because people like this guy really make me feel a way. He said something about politics, and he said, Democrats are always lying, or Democrats lie about everything, or some shit like that. And I said, I think what you meant to say is politicians always lie, you know? And then that was just like me just took a fucking match and just went and just threw it at a gasoline can because he lost it, right? And he's like, yeah, that's just what I would expect from a liberal. They were going to blah, 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 blah. And I go, first of all, I don't even live in the United States, so I don't have, you know, a dog in this race, bro. I couldn't care less about what you're talking about, but you're saying something that's not accurate, and I'm just straightening it out. So, and I expect somebody that thinks like you to respond the way that you did. So you just want you want the smoke. It's like you're looking for something to start some smoke with, and I'm like, you can call me Mr. Chimney because I'll bring the smoke if you want it, but I'm not up for this. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't want to argue with you because this is so stupid to me that you want to dedicate energy to this. So you can't change people's political opinions mostly, and you can't change their religious opinions. You know, these churches have, you know, men in power that are touching little kids, and their people still go to their churches and give them millions of dollars every year. So what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. So we got a little bit of time left. What's up with your love life? We're gonna close the show on a happy note, and that can be answered by either one of you. I said love life. They both went.
I would only say one thing is that I've had an ex from 3 years ago, like, get in touch recently. He does this thing, like, since we broke up, every 6 months he kind of, like, touches base, but it's been more prevalent during this period. So that's kind of interesting, the whole rise of the exes. And then you're just a bit like...
The rise of the exes. 2020, the rise of the exes.
So I'm a bit like, you're pretty narcissistic. Has that changed? So yeah, dabbling a little bit there. Yeah. So, but that's around it. Yeah.
So he's a satellite then. All men are, not all men, but most men operate like that, where we're kind of we're broken up. We'll be floating around in orbit, just waiting for landing instructions, and occasionally. Every 6 months, we'll touch base. Hey, you know, how you doing? Hey, happy birthday. That's always an easy in. I'm sure he probably.
And you're like, it's not my birthday.
It's a happy birthday, or it's a Merry Christmas, you know, or hey,
Happy Easter.
Right. There's always a holiday in.
Not
Happy summer solstice.
Happy National Hot Dog Day.
Yep.
Anything to get a response. And every time you respond, they're like, cool, I still got a chance to get back in there. And
see, that's what happened to me the other day when I texted that girl that said that she was, that I didn't, the Gash girl from a few podcasts ago. I know. How did you guys meet? Oh, well, I got off a plane and asked her if she wanted to grab a drink. We went and got a drink down by the water. And then she was getting up on her stool and she said, phew, you almost saw my gash there. It's the first thing we ever said to each other. And then we fell in love.
Yeah, how you didn't smash that night is beyond me, but...
do not underestimate my lack of game. Do not sell me short, sir.
But just a little technique that we touched upon recently, which you think is working for you.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was good.
So, one, I've been trying something else out, and it's just lately, it's been working. It's being super direct on a first date. Just like, hey, do you want, after, you know, the date has gone really well, do you want to go make out? And so far, results are good, really good.
I love it. So you don't even try kind of get close.
No, it's just like, yeah. Do you want to go make out? And then we just,
yeah, you know where you're at.
Yeah.
There's no awkward is he doing that? Is he going in for a kiss? Is he not?
Yeah.
You're just like, come here.
It's a new world, and if that's working, because I've seen or heard about that from actually this guy that I was working with on his dating profile. And he's asking me, because I'm helping him write his dating profile because he's just not with it in that respect. And he's asking me, how do you do this when it comes to a woman? And da, da, da. I'm like, from experience from working with other clients, you just have to jump in there and just say, what is going to happen? She's going to say no, or she's going to say yes. It's the same thing if I'm trying to sell you a microphone. You know, I'm like, is this one going to work for you? And either it is or it's not. You know, so good for you. You found something that, are you comfortable with it though? Are you comfortable saying, hey, you know, I've had a nice time tonight. What should we do next? You want to go make out, or do you want me to call you an Uber? Because he'll be here in 10 minutes.
I am 100% fine with it. And I think the thing about the direct approach is if she's like, oh, it's our first date, like, let's get to know each other better. I'm like, okay, that's fine too. I could do that too. But yeah, I haven't had a full-on no thanks yet. And I like to think that I trust myself to read the situation well enough where I'm going to pull that card out.
Read the room.
But, you know, again, don't underestimate my lack of game. You could be wrong.
No, fuck that, Nick. You have to get that out of your mind. Because if you're going into that situation, it's gonna be there. I had an attorney when I moved here, and my marriage was ending, and I needed to sort my visa out. And he says, you know, well, first of all, you're not going to win. So what's going to happen is you're going to need to go back to the States. You're going to have to file an appeal, and then you can come back and da da da. And I was like, fuck this guy. He's fired.
Fuck that, dude. I got to win.
Fired. Right. He's fired. He already has in his brain that you're not going to win. He's not going to try. He's already told me, I'm not going to try. That'll be 2,000 pounds. Fuck you. So I fired that guy, and I got a better attorney, and here I am. So you have to not have that in your brain, bruh. Get in there and just be like.
Well, I have to say, you know, over the past couple months is when I tried this new technique out, which was not a conscious decision. I think it was more of an inebriated decision. The second time, I was like, let me just try this again. That worked last time. So it's two for two. Unfortunately, getting back to my love life, the second nice young woman who happened to be from Seattle as well, living in Italy, she wasn't looking for something short term, and I was coming back to Italy, so she got real angry.
You were coming over here.
Yeah, she told me I was a dick. So
that happens sometimes.
I did tell her on my first date that I was going back.
But that was like after you slept with her?
No, it was before. It was before. It was like in bed, like, oh, that was nice. By the way, I'm going back to London. No,
I'm really going to miss this last one in London.
it was over. It was at dinner. Yeah. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going like next week back to London.
I think it's back to London, yes. That does denote permanency. Well, to an extent, rather than like just going for a holiday.
And then she asked me what like I think of Florence. She's like, do you think it's like your home city, or do you think it's just like a stopover? And I was honest. I was like, no, it's just where my parents live. And then we went on another date and like did something during the day, and then went and had dinner, and then went back to her place again. And then like a couple of days later, she texted me. I was like, do you want to get together again? And I was like, oh, in a couple of days I have to go back to London, so I'm trying to like get packed up.
Right.
And then the next text I got was, do you have a second to chat?
Oh.
Wait, so, okay.
I was like, yeah, sure. And then she called me and just told me how much of a dick I was. I was like,
wow. Yeah.
It's a compliment. You know, she's really, really likes you.
Yeah. I feel like I was honest, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty honest.
I don't know. Anyway, my love life is fine. That's fine.
You win some, you lose some. But I mean, in that respect, from my understanding of the situation, you're probably better off having had that experience, and now you can move on to the next experience. And that's one thing that I always tell my clients at datingformen.com is that you got to get that plug in there. You got to get it in there. And if you're not into like serious stuff and you want to just like bang a sex doll, you can always head over to siliconetit.com as well. So we can get you a sex doll as well. But from what I tell my clients is don't, and this doesn't really apply to you because it was just a few dates, but and a lot of people are like, oh, I was in this relationship and my relationship failed and my marriage failed. It didn't fail, right? Your relationship just came to an end. The experience that you had was over. If it was a bad experience from the beginning, you would have never have even continued into that experience. You would have never have been with that person for 6 months, 8 months, 5 years, whatever. So we all have, everything in our lives has an expiration date. Everything expires. So my relationship can be a year. My experience with you can be 5 years. But once we've decided that this isn't great anymore, that's okay, because nothing is great forever. TV shows that are so fucking funny are gone after a while. And if you revisit some of the stuff that we thought was so amazing 10, 20 years ago, it's not that great anymore. So some of it's not that dope. So it's okay to say, we had a great time together, but it's time for me to have another experience. And that's all you have to look at it as.
So if I'm hearing you right, you're saying don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened.
That's the one.
And a new beginning is around the corner, perhaps. I mean, it feels like...
No, it's the same.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a flag.
It's not to make it original. But I think it just reminds me of that Outcast lyric. So, like, what is it? Something like, love's supposed to last forever, but no, nothing lasts forever, but what makes love the exception? No, like what I'm saying. Basically, maybe we're being kind of like fed like this false idea or whatever. I don't give a shit. Same thing. And yeah, it is. And I'm said to be a deep philosophical thinker. Okay, that's where Michael is coming from. So I'm saying that maybe we've got this kind of false idea about relationships. Like, yeah, you get into one relationship, it lasts forever. Maybe that's just not the way to deal with it. And that is producing an unhealthy mindset because people feel like they've failed constantly because they're like, all right. I'm not saying it's necessarily better to be in like 30 relationships during a lifetime. I mean, relationships can be very draining depending on the depth of them. But maybe that's the thing. We just kind of go, maybe the new aim should be 3 good, decent relationships to last you a lifetime. Yeah,
and like 15 okay.
Yeah.
Have as many experiences as you can. I mean, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to continue on with it. And like we were saying earlier about life not being promised and we don't know if this is better or not, but while we're here, I want to have fun and I want to enjoy the time while I'm here. And being miserable with somebody, I can be miserable by myself, you know. There's no reason.
They need the help.
Right. It's like you can't even cook, so you know. But it's not something that
delivery sometimes, you know.
Oh yeah, but I mean, and like you said, we there's a lot that we're fed that we think is supposed to be the reality. Like we're supposed to be married forever and a man is only supposed to be with one woman, and lots of people don't think that way, lots of them. And who said that a man is supposed to only be with one woman? And I'm not trying to sound sexist. A woman can do the same thing.
It could be the other way around. Yeah.
Right, it's fine. So
that's so great.
You know, but where did this concept come up where it's like we need to be with one person? And, you know, there's a lot of countries that don't even believe in that. And yeah, so we just need to go out and have some fun and do what you think is going to be best that makes you happy and enjoy your life. That's
as long as you're wearing a mask and washing your hands and using hand sanitizer.
And managing people's expectations.
And you download the app.
You guys and your fucking coronavirus callback. So that's cool. We're out of here. We're almost out of time anyway. I appreciate the two of you taking the time out of your schedule there. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, you guys. If you guys are listening to us at Apple or Spotify or Amazon Podcasts or Google Podcasts or iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening to it, keep the shows ranked and hit the Cash App so you can help keep Nick in a country and Jenny fed and help keep my car on the road. You know, I mean, it's wintertime, won't be driving as much, but whatever. And that's what's up. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching if that's what you're doing. And we'll see you when we see